What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Scott Lewis Podcast. This is Ep.2. I am your host, Scott Lewis, man. While we at this, man, to kick this off, follow me at Barberchair Scott on all social media platforms, man. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, leave a comment, turn your alerts on, man. We're gonna be uploading a lot of stuff on here. We have been uploading a lot of stuff on here. We're gonna continue to do that, especially with NFL training camp off next week for the Chicago Bears, man. So shout out to everybody tuning in. Man, I just want to thank everybody for the support to kick today's episode off. This is like we're a month into really using this channel. This is a new old channel. And I say it's a new old channel because I've been actually this is just my regular YouTube page that I've been watching stuff on since like high school, like when YouTube actually first started in 2007. So, but this is I actually just started using it a month ago to actually start uploading content and things like that. So, we had 316 subscribers right now, which is good for the first month, but we definitely want to get these numbers up, man. I want to at least get to 500 before the NFL season starts week 1, man. So if you subscribe, I appreciate you. If you haven't, please subscribe. Let everybody else know to subscribe. I got a lot of great content coming in the NFL season, man. So just, let everybody know. Shout out to everybody for watching episode 1. Really appreciate y'all for watching that. Me and the homie Tosin got into a real soccer bag, really, broke down the transfer window for people who are new to the sport like I am, and just for people who aren't new to sport, just kind of talk about how it moves and stuff like that. But for the Scott Lewis podcast, I didn't really get an opportunity to really explain what we'll be doing on here in episode 1. So basically, I'm gonna try to get 2 episodes of these up a month. During the NFL season, when we're starting, I'm not gonna hold you back up at the end of August. So right now, this is episode 2. I'm recording 2 more episodes of the pod this week. Got 1 interview and another one with some familiar faces that will be dropping over the coming weeks. But basically, for the most part, I'm just gonna be taking one big sports topic, one big media topic, and dedicating 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour on that topic, like we did last week with the soccer transfer window episode, man. And gonna have guests, some interviews, things like that. Or you're gonna have an episode like you got today, where I just go over some of the biggest topics in sports. You're gonna get more of these, all season. Now, I don't really know 100% how I'm gonna do it during the regular season because I'm not gonna hold you. You got 7 nights to Hallis, and it's a pretty busier schedule with me, having to be up at the Bears facility and things like that. But we will work it out. You're at least gonna get 2 to 3 more episodes of this month. And we'll figure out the schedule from there. But shout out to everybody who did tune in to episode 1. Very much appreciated, man. But let's start off with probably the biggest story of the weekend, man, and that is this thing with the NFL, collusion in the NFL. And I'm gonna try to break this down in the easiest way possible because it's kind of hard to understand, even for somebody like me who's real well versed in this stuff. So, long story short, there has been proof of collusion between NFL owners and the NFL Players Association, which is led by Lloyd Howell Jr. And NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. That after the big contracts from Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson, that you've got owners who are caught on record saying that they're not going to be giving out guaranteed contracts anymore. That's pretty much the crux of this. Now, where this gets tricky is the NFL really not doing anything about it. And, they had I'm looking at it right now. They had like a hearing that happened on January 14th, where they decided that there wasn't enough information to prove that there was collusion in the NFL. And there's been some players, former players, current players speaking up about this situation, and some even calling for the heads of not just Roger Goodell, but the NFLPA president, Lloyd Howard Jr. Now, the NFLPA released a statement yesterday, basically saying they're standing behind Lloyd Howard Jr. And this is what it says. As members of the NFLPA Executive Committee, we categorically reject false reports, insinuating doubts within this committee or suggestions that we have asked our executive director to step down. We further reject attempts to mischaracterize the committee's views or divide our membership. We have established deliberate process to carefully assess the issues that have been raised and will not engage to rush judgment. We believe in and remain committed to working with our executive director, and other members of the NFLPA, staff, and player leadership who have shared mission to advance the best interests of players. As we approach the 2025 season, we look forward to continue our important work together and ensuring the strength of our association, man. So that's pretty much the statement from the NFLPA. Now, I thought about doing a Scott Reacts video to this when the thing originally came out, but I was having a hard time really forming my opinion on what I really felt about this, because I'm gonna be real with y'all, man. One part of me doesn't give a shit. It's not my money. I don't really care. As a fan, I don't really care. Like, as a media member, I don't really care. Like, I'm gonna be watching the games. But then you also got the, look at the other side. If I was a player, you shouldn't be having the league colluding on not giving these players who go out there and put their bodies on the line every dollar that they're worth, especially when negotiations are already tough and ridiculous as it is. There's no reason that Lamar Jackson, who's arguably at the worst top 4 quarterback in the NFL, should have took so long to get the money that he got. And I think a lot of this came from the Deshaun Watson thing, where now we see it is hands down the worst contract in the NFL, maybe the worst contract in the history of the NFL. If you look at not just the injuries that he sustained, but the off the field drama. So if you ask the Cleveland Browns, would they do it again? I guarantee you they would say no. This has been a waste of money through and through. So, but it's also at the same time, I saw, some players talk about it. I know a former NFL player and also somebody we've had on 79th the House before, ESPN's own Dominique Foxworth. He used to be president of the NFLPA, the player president. And, he was saying that, it's very hard to get somebody to stand up to this. And also Chris Long mentioned it as well. And, I kind of feel what Chris Long was saying. Like, if this is going to be a big moment here, and I think the problem with making it a big moment is because the NFLPA is the weakest out of all of the players associations in all sports. And the reason I say that is because there's too many players on one team for you to really come together on things that you're voting on. It's a lot easier in the NFL. It's a lot easier in the MLB because there's not as many players. And the NFL is very, very tough. And that's why they have the worst contracts in American sports. So it's a tough thing and something that if they're going to rise up, it needs to be right now. But all signs are pointing that this is going to be out of the news cycle very, very quickly. And that was something that Chris Long talked about on the Greenlight Pod. We are officially 8 days away from most training camps reported. In fact, rookies actually report today. So we're very close to not caring about this. In 8 days, we're going to be at Hallis Hall talking to Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, everybody. We're going to be thinking all hands on deck for the next season. And that's just not just me and Chicago sports media, but all NFL media in general. We're going to be talking about the 2025 season, breaking down practice film and things like that. And we're going to be all full steam ahead. Before you know, we're 52 days away from the opener in Philadelphia where the Eagles get their banner and take on the Dallas Cowboys. By that point, nobody's going to give a fuck. So it's really a delicate situation, and it really kind of shows the unfortunate ways where the NFL players, it's very hard for them to rise up, and just shows the iron fist that Roger Goodell rules with. Like, this is something, if you look at everything, and I advise y'all to actually look this up yourself, it's a lot of words. It's a lot more than what I'm breaking down right now. It's a lot more. So I would look that up if you're interested in it. And a lot of this stuff, and shout out to Pablo Torre, of Metal Art Media, Dan Levitar show. He's the one who even brought this to center to begin with. And it's a lot of stuff in there that would get a commissioner fired if the NFL were a well-run organization with morals, but they're not. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's move on to the NBA. So we are, in the middle of NBA season. By the way, I'm gonna keep saying this every episode for those of you who are new. If my camera's shaking a little bit, I apologize. I live next door to a train, and that motherfucker goes on every day, and I have nothing to do with their train schedule. So if it looks a little shaky, I'm not in an earthquake. It's just a train. I apologize. But let's talk about the NBA. We are in the middle of the NBA offseason. We are pretty much, free agency is pretty much done. All the players are gone, but they're gone, and we are in summer league. AKA, if you're a basketball junkie, this is stuff that you love. Now, somebody for me who I would consider myself a casual NBA watcher, and I wouldn't say casual because I know the game, I know the players, and I actually watch the games when I do watch it. I won't call myself a casual NBA watcher. I'll call myself a halftime NBA watcher. Like, I do not care anything about the NBA prior to the Super Bowl being over. I just don't. Like, I watch opening night. I didn't even watch Christmas games last year because the NFL has been taking over Christmas. And then when the Super Bowl's over, then I get fully in NBA. But this has kind of been a dull off season. The biggest thing that happened, I guess, would be KD going to Houston, and that's probably like the biggest story as far as like how we're used to the NBA off season being. But I blame that for the second apron and new CBA. This is the new model for how the off season is going to be. They're going to be kind of boring. Doesn't seem like Giannis is going to go anywhere, but here we are talking about Mr. LeBron Raymond James. He's entering his 23rd year in the season, I think, year in the NBA, which will tie him with Vince Carter for the most seasons played by a player in NBA history. LeBron just keeps breaking records. But, I talked about on Sky Reacts a couple weeks ago about the possibility of him being fed up with the Lakers, and he's doing more and more stuff that makes you feel like he's being fed up with the Lakers. Now, LeBron is out here talking about we're taking it too seriously, and Rich Paul putting out statements. Look, man, LeBron has been in our lives as sports fans for the last 24 years, 25 years. When's the first time you heard LeBron James' name? Year 2000, 2001? I know some of y'all wasn't even born in 2000, 2001. First time I heard about him, I was in seventh grade, and that's why I heard about LeBron. So he's been in our lives for about 24, 25 years, and he's always been the spotlight. And, this is something that's new for him because I don't think he can really accept that the Lakers, I won't even say the Lakers are ready to move on per se, because I do think they want LeBron on the roster for next year. And not to say that I would be shocked that LeBron be gone, but I think it'd be very difficult for him to leave unless the buyout. But my point being, he's having a hard time with dealing with the fact that the Lakers are all in on Luka. This is Luka Doncic's team. Luka's the young guy. Luka's not even 25 yet, if I'm not mistaken. He's the future of the Los Angeles Lakers, and that will be solidified next month when he signs that extension that's worth over $300 million. So, no, they're not keeping LeBron's feelings or considering LeBron in there. And I think he's having a hard time with that. And honestly, he got to get over it. This franchise, not just them, every franchise he's played for, the Miami Heat, the Cleveland Cavaliers, have rolled over backwards for this man. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. LeBron James has been the best player in the NBA for, in my opinion, about 15 years. But some of y'all will say even 20. I can't argue that. But for at least a decade and a half. You're supposed to cater to the best player in the NBA. He's the second greatest player to ever pick up basketball, in my opinion. So you're supposed to cater to him. But in the words of Baltimore prophet Slim Charles, the thing about the old days, they the old days. And I think that's something LeBron is having a hard time dealing with. And I think he's flirting with the opportunity to go back to his home. I won't say hometown because Akron's not Cleveland, but his home team, because that's the home team in Ohio, NBA team. And maybe finish it out there, try to get, ring 5. He's desperate to get ring 5 so he can tie Kobe, he can tie Magic, he can tie Duncan, and he can get one closer to Michael Jordan. I personally think that window is closed no matter what team he goes to, but he definitely will have a better chance on this Cleveland team as constructed. And that's why I'm like, LeBron, stop flirting and just say what you want. Because it's obvious that you want something. Just say, yo, don't want to be on Lakers anymore. If that's how you really feel, and let's just move on. Because you can't be out here doing the same things that you usually do. LeBron's very funny. LeBron is cerebral. Everything LeBron does is intentional. He can sit up here and lie to us, act like it's not intentional, but it is. So take us out the chat, bro. Figure out what you want to do and do it, because it's getting annoying to this point. And you told us too old for this. Like we don't care as much as we used to. And if I'm Cleveland, not just if I'm Cleveland, if I'm any team, I'm not trading for LeBron James at this age. The Lakers are going to ask for too much, rightfully so, to the point that this roster can't even contend with adding a about to be 41-year-old LeBron James to it. The only way out of it is if he asks for a buyout, which I find it very hard to believe that the Lakers would do. Yes, they want to pay this man $52 million, I think it is, which is a win. But you can't just let LeBron James walk out the door without getting nothing in return. He's still a good player. Like, even though he's old, LeBron is still a top 10 player in the NBA. I'm not going to say top 5. Some of y'all be lying when y'all say he's still top 5. But LeBron is still a top 10 player in the NBA. I'm not letting him walk out the door just for nothing. You're crazy. So this is a saga that I think that is going to go down to the wire. And I listen to Windhorse, I listen to Shams, and they both say that, hey, 50-50 chance. I won't believe that he's going to be a Laker until I see him in media day. Granted, media day is about 2.5 months from now. It's like early October, or late September, at least 2 months. So we got a minute before that happens. But LeBron, enough with the shenanigans. Just tell us what you want to do, and let's move on, man. Yeah, so that's why I gotta feel about that on LeBron, man. We're gonna talk some soccer to close this out. If you're not a soccer fan, I would advise you to turn this off right now. But I hope you don't. I hope you're ready to learn something, because man, I'm entering my 6th month as a fan of soccer, of the Arsenal Football Club. It's my club, as you can see that. You know what I'm saying? Big weekend for us. But Club World Cup recap finished up. It's been a month of soccer. The revamped Club World Cup. They're trying to make this more important than it's been in years past. And they've been all across America, been in MetLife Stadium, which is going to host the World Cup final next year. They've been in Philadelphia. They've been in Miami. They've been in Atlanta. They've been in North Carolina. They've been in Seattle. Those have been all the stops they've been over the last month. And Chelsea Football Club are the world champions. They beat PSG, who won the European Championship, the Champions League, back in May, 3-0. It was a beat down from the jump. It kind of looked like PSG was tired. They've had a great run, winning 2 trophies and just being on a crazy run they've been in. Luis Enrique, he's been a great manager. Dembele, he's been awesome. The whole team's been awesome. But I kind of feel like they ran out of gas in this one. This is no disrespect to Chelsea. Chelsea did their thing. Even though I think Chelsea fans are putting a lot of dip on their chip when it comes to this translating into the Prem season. We got to see if that does anything, because I believe the Prem is going to be, I'm going to say 3-team race out of respect to Pep Guardiola and Man City. But if you ask me for real, I think it's going to be a 2-team race. I think it's going to be Arsenal. I think it's going to be Liverpool. But that is yet to be seen. But overall, I thought the Club World Cup was okay. I thought it was a lot better than I thought it would be. There were some good matches. I thought, the FIFA is trying their best to grow the game here in America. Even had a halftime show yesterday, which I saw a lot of British fans, a lot of European fans, and even some American fans who really, really love the game. Didn't really care for it. I thought it was fine. Like, I'm not a fan of J Balvin, but I think, having Doja Cat there, and y'all know I love Tim's, that was great. But I kind of feel like you need that for Americans to get comfortable with the game. I know some people they disagree. We keep it traditional the way it is. But it was. I feel like it was a success. I can't say it wasn't a success. That was a great crowd last night in the final. There was some great crowds in the semifinals. I thought it was really good. Some of the South American teams, and you can really see it meant a lot to them. But at the end of the day, too, for the big clubs, the European clubs, it's just too much soccer, bro. And I think you're seeing this across the board in sports, where these athletes just don't have breaks. They just don't have breaks anymore. And that's what's leading to all these injuries and things like that. But it's money. The dollar gets bigger, and these leagues don't care. They just don't care. The players' safety is the biggest piece of bullshit that leagues try to sell you that they care about. They don't care, because if they did, they would cut half this shit out. But just off how I felt the tournament was, I thought it was a success. I think there's some things they could tweak for the coming years. Of course, the next one won't be for another 4 years. There's some things they can tweak with how they present the World Cup next year, which I don't think presenting the World Cup is going to be a problem. The World Cup sells itself. The only issue I think will be is for people who are not from this country coming to watch the World Cup. You got to be careful, because we're a shit country and then we trying to kick people out. So that I'll be careful with. Besides actual marketing, World Cup sells itself. I think it's going to be a success next year without a doubt. The Donald Trump thing. I mean, FIFA is the most corrupt organization in sports. They make the NFL look like a church league, and that's saying a lot. And if you think I'm lying, go look up the documentary FIFA Uncovered on Netflix. They are the most corrupt sports league in the world by a large margin. And, to see Gianni Infantino, I think that's his last name, the president of FIFA, rubbing shoulders with Donald Trump. It was real nasty with Donald Trump being on the stage presenting Chelsea with the trophy. If I was a Chelsea fan, I would be upset. I would have to find a way to Photoshop that nigga out that picture when I'm posting pictures of my club, hoisting that up. But overall, I thought it was a success. And I really want to see how this is going to impact the teams who made deep runs, like Chelsea, like PSG, like Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid even tried to, they're petitioning to get their La Liga opener pushed back a couple weeks, and La Liga is like, nah, that shit ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So really interesting to see how that's gonna impact them in the first month and a half. Because world football got a short break as it is. I mean, Arsenal, we didn't even play in the tournament. Our season ended at the end of May. They already in training camp. Like they already in training camp, man. And, the season starts in about a month. So, but I thought it was pretty cool, man. Overall, I thought it was pretty good tournament, and I think there's room for it to grow, man. To close out today's episode of the Scott Lewis Pod, I want to talk about my particular love for the sport, my journey now that I'm like a half a year in this ride of us as a fan of soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. Man, I love the sport, and I have shout out everybody who has given me love for actually researching. Thing y'all know about me, personal thing about me. When I get interested in a topic, I will research it to the bone. When I became a fan of the MCU about 8 years ago, because I didn't watch, and the funny thing about, not that I didn't watch comic movies, I wasn't a big movie watcher, which is funny because you know me now, I'm a big movie head. I go to movies all the time, big TV head. That's because I got real attached to it when I started actually working at a movie studio. I worked at Amazon Studios for 3 years, and I was on sets. I held the Emmy. I was on red carpets, and I got really I fell in love with Hollywood and the making of movies and TV, and that made me more of a TV movie watcher. But at the time, I didn't care about it. But I saw Black Panther, and I was like, "Oh shit, what I got?" Then I saw it, and I was like, "This is a good movie." But that's not even what got me interested in it. When I saw the Infinity War trailer, which I've seen Infinity War about 100 times, and that trailer still gives me goosebumps. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And shout out to everybody on Twitter. They told me everything I need to watch, how to watch in order. And I researched the MCU down to the bone to now. Shout out my man Damon. He called me MCU Mel Kiper. I know everything there's to know about Marvel Comics, Marvel Cinematic Universe, all that. So it's the same thing here. I don't know if I told the story on here, but I will tell it because we'll be doing a Scott Lewis podcast, more in-depth conversation. I watched the David Beckham documentary. If you have not watched it, even if you're not a soccer fan, incredible documentary. Even if you're not a soccer fan, you know who the hell David Beckham is. And he has a 4-point documentary on his entire career, and I thought it was phenomenal. And I was watching it, and I was like, yo, I got to get into this sport. It looks crazy. So I got a lot of homies, Tosin, one of them, and then like 4 or 5 other homies who are just diehard fans of the sport. And I was like, where do I start? And they helped me out, everything. And, I went through, we know the whole process that went to me picking Arsenal. I did the whole free agent thing when I'm not going to hold you, but I ended up picking Arsenal for a couple reasons. One, I love their history of Black players. They have a rich history of black players. Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira. They're the first team to put a full 11 black players out there. I could be here for days naming all the black players they've had. And that kind of attracted to me too. It's like the culture team, the club for the streets. I loved how the stadium looked. I love the colors. I love the badge. Just a great logo to me. And I really feel like this was a team on the brink of greatness. And I really feel like that, despite the fact that we are the most hated team on the internet, like by a large margin. But in my 6 months of being a fan, I've really just fallen in love with the sport, and it's my second favorite sport right now. And one thing I have learned is football, Twitter, football, social media, really just stuff with European sports in general. If you read any of the crap on Twitter that you read, now everything on Twitter is bad, but Arsenal online fans make Chicago Bears fans look sane. Y'all know my complaints about Chicago Bears fans if you listen to watch any type of content I've done. It is egregious, like panicky, whiny, the whole thing. So you kind of got to like separate it. But Arsenal made some great moves this week. They're really putting the team together. Looks like they're getting Victor Gyökeres. We're waiting for the final contract details to come in. They might have come in already. I haven't checked my phone in a minute. But I really feel like they're set up for greatness next year, and it's really fun to see. They haven't won a Premier League in about 21 years, and I think this is a great chance they're going to do it. I don't have the battle scars that a lot of Arsenal fans have, so I can look at it as a more glass half full than a lot of fans can. And trust me, I know how it feels to be a better fan. As you can see from the background, I live my life on Chicago sports, which has been 75% of my life with Chicago sports has been disappointment. So I know how that goes, man. But I would encourage anybody, get into a new sport. Get into a new sport. I used to have this conversation with one of my homies when we like, too many people call themselves sports fans and only watch like one or two sports. I don't believe you can call yourself a sports fan unless you can actually watch 3 whole sports. Get into something new. I know niggas who just watch basketball and football. They don't watch baseball. They don't watch hockey. Find you something new, because I am so glad that I found soccer. Everything about it I love. It's competitive. It's competitive through the entire season. You have all these different competitions. And that's probably the biggest issue I have with the NBA and with Major League Baseball. The seasons are too long, and it doesn't feel like the games mean that much in the grand scheme of things, regular season games. Now, obviously, they do mean something because you got to keep winning to get higher seeds, put yourself in a better position when the playoffs start to win you an NBA championship or win a World Series, obviously. But in the NFL, every game means something, bro. You can miss out on the playoffs because you was playing stupid in week 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, and same thing with soccer. If you have a month where you just can't get a win, but you keep drawing. Just look at Arsenal last year. Arsenal got like 14 draws. If they even win half of those, they win the Premier League running away. So, but every game matters. You got the different competitions. You got the FA Cup, got the League Cup, you got the Champions League, you got the actual Premier League. And so it really makes it interesting to watch. And I'm really looking forward to watching my first full season, because I started tuning in like end of February, early March. Premier League is pretty much already set. Like, Liverpool ran away with that shit, and I watched in the Champions League, stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that, man. So you will be getting a lot more soccer coverage on here when the season starts, man. But that is all I got for y'all today on episode 2 of the Sky Lewis podcast, man. Like I said, I'm going to try to get you 2 of these a month when the NFL season starts. Very hectic schedule and things like that. I'm not going to hold you. It's going to be coming back. We're going to be doing 7 Night to Hallis more frequently. But this is the second episode. I'm recording 2 more episodes this week. They're going to drop over the next couple of weeks, so you're good to go for July. But if you haven't followed me, please follow me at BarbChairSky on all social media platforms. Twitter/X. That's TikTok. That's Instagram. You're watching here on YouTube. If you are a subscriber, I appreciate you. Keep posting the content. I can only go as far as y'all take me. All the support is needed and appreciated. If you are not subscribed, press the subscription button right now. Turn on your notifications because I post regularly. Leave a comment. Tonight, we are going to be doing a home run derby watch party. Me and the homie Courtney, if I'm not going to hold you, going to be doing that. Dante's going to check in. Dante's live at the home run derby, holding it down for Barber's Chair Network. So, I'm going to put the link to that in the description box. So, you're watching this, it's right there in the description box so you can know where to join us tonight, man. But I am your boy, Barb Chair Scott. I will holler at y'all next time. My bad.